No, I even didn't study fine arts. I wanted to become a painter, but then for many reasons, I went to study art history in Cologne together. But my husband, we were married very young, studied sociology, and we both were painters, and we met as painters, and painting was our main interest. And we had no interest in film at all, in cinema. Cinema was low culture. But then at the university in Cologne, there was a very educated film group, students' film group. And they showed regularly, had big shows at the university, film shows. And one was a retrospective by Luis Buñuel. And so when it was only his Mexican films. And we went to that show, Wilhelm and I, and said, oh, come on, cinema, this is something new. His images were really, to us, touching. And so we said, okay, we must come out, we must go to film, we must make film. But we had no idea, we didn't know anything. Other filmmakers came from television and changed to experimental film or had a background. But we didn't. We bought a Bolex camera and started, very, very naive, And this is how develop. And the idea was to develop film as a visual medium, art medium. Not telling stories, because Hollywood at that time was completely unknown to us. So, what we wanted to come to what are the basic means of cinema. And according to, for example, Laszlo Moholy-Nagy in the 20s, he said the basics of cinema is light and time. Basic of film is light and time. This low, storytelling, real images, representing reality is a possible part of film, but it's not all, And from this basis we developed our filming, like raw film, for example. Well, at that time we had developed a performance where we would perform in bars and event places, because we wanted to get out of the art scene. The art scene at 77, after Film as Film and Documenta, it was obvious there is no chance for film in the art scene, and then we went to travel with our machines and performance, and we planned in New York. We wanted to continue performing in New York during that year, but this was absolutely impossible. And then we started our first feature-length film, Love Stings. At the end of the 70s, it was really an international end of conceptual art. The conceptual art that had come out of Fluxus, and this abstract, formal working stopped completely, not only in structural film, but also in the art scene. And for us, it was this discussion of formal problems was at an end. There was nothing to get any further. There were no new questions. But this process had freed us now to start also to tell, to make a film with kind of story. But on the basis of this completely different approach than Hollywood or creating stories. It was ourselves who were there on the screen and where we are talking about. At the The Kali Frauenfilm, Kali women's film, was finished in '88, and at that time, when this film, as a single film, was presented, there was a heavy reaction of the feminists at that time, because they said women are not violent, women are not aggressive. This whole ideology, which in our eyes was completely the same what the patriarchal society wanted. Women should not be aggressive, they should be at home, and they don't want sex. And I said, it's absolutely ridiculous. And then when I made The Mysterious Women after that, this was also a reaction of the relationship that broke with Wilhelm. And this film was made of pure rage about everything. The women, the role how I had educated in the 50s and 60s, the role of women. Women were, it was obvious, not official, but in reality were second class people. There was a class, men and then women. And yeah, all of this came together in Mysterious Women. Also that women can be aggressive, and that if you talk about violence, violence is not a male problem, and it's no, violence has to be discussed on the level of violence and not male and female, So it was very much a reaction to that feminist ideology at that time, which has changed a lot since the late 80s. Thankfully, there is a new women's generation who have a completely different view, more easy, not so ideological.